Thank you. Thank you so much for meditating here today together in this remembering freedom. So I'm happy that you join in this, and it's great to see you in the tape group or on YouTube whenever you see this. And so today we listen actually to an audio of Joel. It doesn't really have a title. It just is the Chicago talk, the first Chicago talk or something from his private 25 group. And so I want to say for a moment, look at it with you to certain aspects of it. And then say this takes about 20 minutes or so, and then we have a little bit of a break, and we start listening to, say after 5 minutes, start listening to the tape itself, at least half an hour of it, and probably the first half hour. And then we have still some time left for further use, so to speak. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, so sometimes one wants to ask a question, or you want to share something that really touched you or that you feel like extending, so you're totally welcome to do that. But for now, this is like the moment that we take a look at certain aspects of the talk as we can listen to it in a moment. So I don't know if you listened to it already. It's you can see it on the EV Hub YouTube channel. So it's like the featured audio, and 219A is it? I think. See, always the numbers. I really don't remember. My mind has a tendency to let go and to be empty. So I don't remember anything. The same as when you share something with me, I would forget it instantaneously. Again, it's like, you can trust me. I will never talk about anyone at any time because I'll simply forget. And that's good. That's easy. That's great. So that's good to know too. So one thing that I saw, okay, here's the chat. I always look at the chats. Oh, 215A. Thank you so much, Karen. That's great. 215A is the talk. And so a couple of things that were, say, popping up while listening to Joel. And one of them is, of course, say, his absolute, say, dedication to the Christian Science Church. Even though he left, he's still totally loyal to the board of directors, the Mary Baker. But in this talk, he shares a very specific part in which he recognizes that Mary Baker Eddy actually on her deathbed started to become fearful. So she really was, say, afraid of an enemy. And Joel uses that. It's not against her, but he uses this example, which is a great example in coming, coming to the realization that there's literally nothing that can attack you. And he uses this example. So I love that. I'm grateful that he did that, because in fact in this talk he continuously is instructing practitioners. It is a practitioner talk if I listen to it. It's like he reminds you of the fact that there's no power outside of you. There's nothing that can hurt you. There's nothing that needs to be healed outside. And on and on and on and on. So he does it very specifically, very detailed. And that comes back. So that in itself, when you listen to it, that in itself becomes it's like a healing, because you're being pointed at the place where healing occurs, letting go of ideas that something is attacking you, letting go that something needs to be healed, or something needs to, say, change, something needs to be fixed, or like that. And he focuses too on the fact that you receive this for yourself. Say the consciousness of the say practitioner, say facilitates the healing that can take place. It is all related to say your individual consciousness. And see, he uses a lot the word we still in his talk, and I want to be very specific that this has everything to do with you. It's like I always emphasized it. This has everything to do with you, because there's no we in this practice. There is no we. There's no you and me. There's no, it's like, so it's so important to let it stay with your individual experience, your individual consciousness, because that's literally the only thing that there is. So one of the things that came up as an idea that I love to share with you is this then. It's like, how many levels of spiritual consciousness are there? Is the question then. Well, you let me know. It's like, am I high, from a high spiritual level and you are low, or blah, 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 blah. See, if there would be a we, then you could compare. And because what I just shared with you is like, no, it always comes back to you. Literally, in this universe, there's only one, state of consciousness, and that is yours. So if you want to experience a different state of consciousness, it has to happen through you. Literally, there's no other way. Nobody can give that to you. And Joel says this too in his talk, and I remember it now when I'm talking about it. So that is really great how it always is so communicating. I love that. So the thing is then, I hope I still remember it, because like I said, my mind is just letting go of all. But there's one state of consciousness, and that is yours. So, and that means too, I lost it. Anyway, it will come back. It was so great. You will hear it in the talk too, but I love to put emphasis on it because it's so very specific. And see, I'm describing it now and making you very curious what it would be. And that's, of course, great too. So it's, you are remembering this. You're extending this. You're discovering what this means. Like, if you want a different state of consciousness, it has to happen through you. You are literally the light of the world. You are literally the awareness that you can be recognizing yourself in. That is happening in you. And so by your practice, by your meditation, by your practicing this, the infinite way, or the path that you're on, by practicing that can take place. And it is a matter of inclusion. It is a matter of nothing, guys, and of what isn't, nullifying of what isn't, leaving the past for what it is. It's gone, it's over. Forgiving of what never happened, just like I said in the prayer. It's like forgiveness of what never happened. It happened in the past, so it's over. Let it go. So, coming back then to the practitioner moment, to the healing moment that can take place in you, by you receiving it, you extend it. By you recognizing who your brother really is, if you're with someone, it's like, by you recognizing who your brother is, you start to recognize the Christ in yourself. See, in this, Joel says in different words, but he is actually meaning the same thing. And you will recognize that during this talk too. So he, one other part, I think it was on page 5 or so of the transcript, one other part of it was this subliminal perception. So it was used specifically in that time. I think it's 58 or so. He shares that during his talk too. You will listen to it too. So everything that he mentions around that theme and subliminal perception or is then snippets of information that you subconsciously get to you by watching something. Like you can't even notice it, but you're still picking it up. Just like they did this experiment with a brand, Coca-Cola, for instance, little snippets during a movie. Nobody could even see it, and in the break time of the movie, when people went for a drink, they all say more than ever bought this specific drink. So they started to manipulate people with that, and this is just an example that he uses, not specifically naming that brand, but I do it just as an example. And then seeing that this is not being used to sell more of a certain thing. No, it is actually being used to say influence the elections even. It's like he gives out a warning for that, kind of, which is interesting to me too, that he does that. So he always puts his involvement in the world and dealing with the world in a certain perspective, and he uses that very specifically also in this talk, and you will hear that in a moment how he uses that. So coming back to the idea of Mary Baker, then what he shares about that is that she feared that somebody was attacking her, and she suddenly discovered she had enemies, and really believing that she had that. And so Joel helps you to see then, like, no, there's literally nothing against you. And that means too then there's literally nothing to be afraid of. Like, what could possibly attack you if it's happening right here in you? Nothing can do that. So that is really comforting with a true, backup, so to speak. It is true what he shares. And so he wants you to stand for these experiences and, practice with it, experiment with it, but also, accept it and exemplify it. And remind each other of it. That's also one part. It's like, remind each other of it, because it needs constant remembering. Otherwise you lose yourself in a certain, temptation to make something real that isn't. So coming back to the present, like we practiced in the meditation, coming back to the present moment, coming back to letting go everything else, letting go of what is past, what is over. You come into the experience. Like I said in the beginning too, it's like an experience of timelessness, because all your attachment and all your investment in the idea of time dissolves, literally. And why can it dissolve? Because you don't defend yourself anymore. You don't put anything against it. And suddenly you remember, suddenly you feel that stillness and remember your true essence. It starts to speak by itself. It's like, yeah, it never left. It didn't go anywhere. It is happening right now. It's happening here. And it's everything. Like, that is your ultimate being experience. So that's so great with this practice. Like, it is not based on doing. It is based on being. So you don't have to make anything. You don't have to do anything. In fact, you don't have to do anything. We have an incredible, trust in our own doings. But here it is like, no, sit back, relax, listen. open yourself up for this. Suddenly, what is just speaks of itself. And that is the continuous, say, invitation of Joel in every tape, in everything that he shares with you, and all the books and all that. And this is also why we come together, to remember this and forget about the rest, letting it go. I feel so much better. So in joining in a singular purpose that we do, like we have the support of the whole universe, and that's why the energy is so different too. Like as soon as we come together, this is, say, in our contact. This is available for us in our contact. In your individual experience, not for anyone else, just for you, so forget about the we idea. Forget about the we idea, even though we come together and joining as one, but it's still your individual, personal, singular experience, a subjective, singular experience of reality. So when you listen to Joel, that comes back to you recognize you're one of them. You recognize you're one of the ones that are sitting in this room, and that this never happened, that you're the first one to hear this in this moment, completely fresh and new. It's telling you about what is, and it allows you, it invites you on a very gentle way, to invite you to come into that stillness and enjoy what is given there. To return for a moment in your experience, your home experience. So, in about 5 minutes or so, we start the talk. So if you need to do something else for now, you can do that. We continue by listening to Joel. Thank you.